Hey everyone, Sunday, time for a new episode of Record Collecting with the Quill. This week we're going to do something completely different from last week. Last week we were talking about perfect pop albums. This week we're going to get really heavy. I'm going to list my essential albums in the stoner rock genre. I've been known to dabble in within that genre. But before we start, you know the drill. Make sure you subscribe, hit that little notice bell, and share with your friends. Well, the stone rock scene it's quite interesting. It's it's very rarely do you hear a band that say that we're like to be labeled as stoner rock. And I remember when it first appeared in the mid to late 90s. It was around the time when we released our second album, Silver Haze. We got labeled stoner rock, which was interesting because no one really knew what it was. But over the years, there's been a lot of great albums that sort of been labeled within that genre, and I'm going to pick some of my favorite ones. But going all the way back, as I said, the genre was sort of appeared in the mid to late 90s, but it's an old genre if you ask me. And this one, the Black Sabbath Master of Reality, is sort of the forefather for everything. When it kicks in with Sweet Leaf, and there you have the whole sort of stoner rock genre within one song to a big extent. But that one aside, there's a lot of great bands, mainly from America, and Sweden has a lot of great stoner rock bands as well. For some reason, I just ended up picking American bands, I believe. But as I said, it all started really, I think, with this album. It's a compilation called Burn One Up Music for Stoners, released by what is it, Roadrunner Records in 1997. That's when I think it all started. It's a compilation. You have some early stuff with Queens of the Stone Age, you have Fu Manchu, Spiritual Beggars, and a couple of other bands, Leadfoot, and a lot of cool stuff. So I think as far as I know, this is where it first where sort of the stone rock tag came from. But it started way before that. I think the first album I picked goes all the way back to 1991. The Monster Magnet album called Spine of God. For some reason, most of my stone albums I have on CD, because it was, as I said, in the 90s when vinyl wasn't pressed that much. But I'm started to buy some of the stuff now. This is a great album. Listened to it yesterday a couple of times, and I think this is Monster Magnet at their best. They've done tons of great albums, but this is my favorite one. And I remember when we toured with them and with the Quill in 2004, they played the title track quite a lot, Spine of God, which is such a great song. So my first pick, Monster Magnet, Spine of God. Then a year later came an album that's really important as well. This one, Sleep's Holy Mountain. Also, you have the whole marijuana reference as well here. Also really important and a hugely influential album, which I also think is a great one. This is heavy as heavy as it gets, if you ask me. Definitely one you should have in your collection. Next one, I think the most important one, if you ask me, a band that sort of is, it's the forefathers for everything. Kyuss, their third album, Welcome to Sky Valley. I'm quite fond of Blues for the Red Sun as well, but this is the one. I remember when it was released, was the one album everyone was raving about, and they made another one before they split up, but they never really gained the attention back then. But now this is a very important album in the whole sort of heavy rock scene, and a great album it is. Welcome to Sky Valley with Kyuss. Next one, think we'll go with this one. A lot of stuff, as I said, came out of California, and this one, Fu Manchu, The Action Is Go. I remember when this one got out in, I think it was released in '97. Also a really important album. I remember me and Christian traveled to Stockholm to see them. They played a studio in Stockholm with Spiritual Beggars as the opening act, and they made a huge impact on us. And this is a great album. I listened to it. I hadn't listened to it in a long time, but yeah, a great one. And you also have here connection. You have Brant Bjork from Kyuss playing drums on this one as well. And I remember was really impressed seeing him in Stockholm. So really great album. Next one is tied in. I mean, a lot of these bands sort of have a lot of inner relations between them. And this is one I'm quite fond of, Nebula's To the Center. We toured with them a couple of years ago with the QUILL, and Nebula was born out of Eddie Glass, and his name escaped me, Ruben Romano, is it right? Leaving Fu Manchu, ended up forming Nebula instead. Also really great band, and a great album as well. Great guys to tour with. We had a lot of fun traveling Europe with them. Next one, also band I had the opportunity to tour with, and this is the album they released just after the we toured together when I played with Spiritual Beggars. We toured with Clutch, fantastic band if you ask me, and they released Blast Tyrant in 2004, the year after we toured with them, and this is one of my all-time favorite albums. I think this is such a great song, and they were great bunch of guys to tour with. We shared the same bus, and a lot of great stories and good times, and a lot of great music. I was really impressed seeing them work, and I'm really glad to see them have the kind of success they have. They certainly deserve it. They are really a hard-working band, and great album. This is one I really have to get on I have to get on vinyl someday, because it's such a great album. This copy is pretty worn if you ask me. And the next one, I think this is one hugely influential, and it made sort of stone rock go from sort of a under the radar kind of scene, or yeah, this one, Queens of the Stone Age. This is it's called Rated X on vinyl and Rated R on CD, and I'm not going to show you the inner sleeve because I'm a little bit afraid that the video will probably be flagged, but I guess you could imagine it being called Rated X. It's sort of pornographic stuff on the inside, some pornographic snapshots. But this one was really important to the whole scene, because I think this is the one that sort of, they had a success, a bigger success, and found a bigger audience with this one. Songs for the Deaf are definitely their sort of the big hit album, but I think this is a hugely influential one, since it sort of took them onto another level, and a great album and a great band. Also saw them a couple of times around this album. They were great live act, and they started out, as I said, Josh Homme leaving Kyuss, and he took some members with him. Now he's the only one remaining from Kyuss, but they sort of started out sort of, you could definitely hear the Kyuss influences, no wonder, since Josh Homme is the guitar player, but from album to album they found more of their own sound, and I think this one is, as I said, really important for the whole scene. So my 7 picks essential stoner rock albums. Now I want to hear probably tons of stuff I missed out, and you will probably think I've picked some of the wrong ones, but I would love to hear what are your essential stoner rock albums, the ones you really have to have in your collection. Yeah, let me know in the comment section. Also, make sure you follow the QUILL on social media. It's the QUILL Sweden, the QUILL Sweden. See you all again next week with a new subject. It was pop last week, stoner rock this week. Who knows what it will be next week? But I'm pretty sure it will be interesting. So that's it for now. See you all again next week. Cheers. Bye.